All right, guys, what's going on? Good morning, good morning. Welcome aboard to the Morning Note. My name is Carlos Garcia, founder and CEO of GAR Capital. It is Friday, April 21st, 2023. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to join me. Let's go ahead and get started on the day. Before we begin, bottom right-hand corner of your screen, little black logo, click on that. Turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our videos. Subscribe to our channel, please. We're trying to get to 10,000 subs. Hopefully we can get there relatively sooner rather than later. And make sure to like these videos, comment any of your questions. I'd love to answer them. And let's go ahead and begin. One quick housekeeping note. If you guys remember a couple of weeks back or a couple of months back at the beginning of the year, I was actually typing up newsletters being sent to your email and our Discord server. I kind of did like an informal poll about it saying, hey, you know, what's best, a video or an actual newsletter? You know, I can interchange. Overwhelmingly was, hey, I like to see a video. So totally cool. Of course, I will do the weekly recap on today, right around 4:15, 4:30. I'll do it. I won't do it as a live. I do it as a recording just to make life easier. No one really gets on a Friday at 4:30. They're either at work or going to the bar, you know, and it's totally cool. And it's not pandemic time anymore. So I will get that out to you right around 5-ish, but I'll be on around 4 to 4:30. We're going to go over the week. We're going to go over our trades. We're going to go over what happened this past week and what I see for the future. And make sure to get your pen and pad handy when we do it, because I'm going to go over some charts and some things that I like, some things that I don't like, and we'll go from there. Dow futures up 40 points this morning. NASDAQ down about 18. S&P 500 futures are flat, 41.53. 1802 for the Russell. That is up this morning, up 0.22%. Crude oil is up 0.57%, 77.81 a barrel. Again, we're not touching crude oil until we get to 85. And again, it's pulled back from 80. And we'll chart that out here in a second. Gasoline futures, $2.61. That's up 1.24%. Gold futures, big shout out to Kevin for sending this one last night. He went ahead and shorted gold futures yesterday. Here was the trade on our Discord, and then me getting up, because I'm a psychopath, at 4 a.m. to check the markets, because 4 a.m. is when futures open. Well, pre-market opens for the stocks, and I want to see what's moving. Kevin had a short 2013 on gold. We went ahead and had the TP at 1980. We got as low as 1991. So 11 points away from TP. At 1996, I said 17 points, moved the stop to 2000. That locked in 13 points. So again, if they still have it, they're pretty much still green about 12 points, pretty much at the same place. So again, if you did miss the exit, my futures guys, make sure to take a look at the actual Discord. It was at 5 a.m. I sent that out, but it's still a good trade since right now we're basically flat. You'd be basically where we closed at. I did not feel this trade personally. That was Kevin, so big shout out to him. Thank you for working the late hours for that one. Let's go ahead and minimize that. All right, silver futures down 0.39%, 25.27. Copper, $4 even, down 0.55%. Euro dollars up about 17 pips, 109.85. Dollar yen, 133.62, down about 61 pips. Pound dollar is down about 23 pips, 124.17. Bitcoin futures, 28,200. There was an interesting article on Bloomberg regarding Bitcoin and Ethereum. Very similar to the levels we talked about, 35,000 and 2,000, right? That was kind of the levels we were talking about. They said 30,000 and 2,000 for Bitcoin and Ethereum respectively, but I went ahead and I was stating here it was 35, but either way. 28.2 for Bitcoin. Again, 35,000 is really the target. That's that gap fill on the futures market. We'll see if we get there. I don't see them happening anytime soon unless we get some big news headline or a massive short squeeze. I just don't think that's in the cards now. 19.16 for Ethereum, pretty much flat for crypto, 0.62%. 10-year treasury yields, again, we had that Philly Fed yesterday, very, very weak, weakest since May of 2020 when we had an economic lockdown. 3.517 on a 10-year. Again, we still expect that to slide a little more. The dollar index down about 0.14%, kind of coming around where we want to. Volatility index extremely depressed, 1723. We talked about buying insurance. We're going to talk about that topic today and really about, do we top yet? When I talk about top, I talk about a short-term top, not a permanent top, obviously. But since we're traders, we're always looking for short-term. So again, 1722 on a VIX. Let's go ahead and go over S&P. We'll go over the VIX. We'll go over the Tesla trade that I did yesterday with the team, and we talked about it yesterday morning. So if you caught those 150 Tesla puts, well done. Make sure to hit the like button if you did, or comment that you did. So I know at least you guys are getting these trades in the morning. All right, S&P 500 futures on the hourly, nothing but chop. But again, kind of coming down, lower highs, right? Short term. 4150, big magnet. Been talking about that now for about 8 days, 9 days now. And that's a level that we've been kind of hovering around and fighting with really since the beginning of April. So has anything really changed? Really, that 4200 level, did we hit that resistance? Was that it? Did we get it? It was pretty quiet, right? But again, are we looking at a double top here? 4200, possibly. We got a really depressed VIX. I would not be surprised if we have more weakness. The only thing that changes this is earnings next week. So again, big catalyst for next week. I think we have Amazon on Thursday. We have Meta. I don't know if Apple reports next week. Microsoft does, and Alphabet does. So again, the big boys, they're going to report next week. And again, we saw what happened with Tesla. We saw what happened with Netflix. Volatile, right? But still came down. But Tesla got hit. So is that the canary in the coal mine in terms of demand? If that's the case, resistance has been hit at 4200. And now let's go and play that scenario A, that we did hit the top. What's the next step? Well, I have an alert at 4120 S&P. That is below the 20-day moving average on the S&P 500 future side. So that's 4127. That's the level we're looking for. We want to break that, and then we want to target 4100. 4100 would be the confirmation of a breakdown. The only thing I worry about shorting at 4120 is that we'll get some bids right here at 4100, which was that support that before we flushed in February. So again, if we do break 4100, 4055 to 4000. 4000 would be the level I'm looking for a, not even a correction, it's a 5% move. But a 4000 level S&P 500 through May, possibly June, is definitely in the cards. I think that's more likely to happen than 4250, let's just say. The only way we get above 4250 or 4200, and again, we're in a new bull market if that's the case on the S&P from the October lows, is that we need really great earnings. And is that really expected? The problem I have is that there's a lot of shorts out there, guys. Remember, the S&P 500 futures contract specs are at 2011 lows, 2011 lows, pretty close to the time that we had a debt ceiling as well. So we'll keep that as it was. But 2011 had the most short active contracts on this right here, S&P 500 futures. So is that the fuel to give us a short squeeze to get to 4225, 4220? A little more to the gap fill as well. The gap fill being on, I think I have it here. No, do I have a weekly gap fill? I think I do. No, there is no gap. On SPX, there's a gap fill, excuse me. So we can do that. But in the S&P 500 future side, what's really key here, and take a look at the weekly as well, this is going to be your confirmation. If we break 4206 and close on the weekly above that, pretty much skies are clear until 4300, and then you can get another rejection and use 4150 as your support. That's scenario B. Scenario A, this is your top that we rejected, and then now we're looking for confirmation to 4120. Then we'll short this dog all the way down to 4000. No problem. And again, it lines up with the seasonality of May. May is weaker. So we had a strong March. We had a strong April. May, it gets ugly. Take a look at this. But we bottom out towards the top, the tail end of May. That's going to be our guide moving forward. So again, in May, we expect some weakness. Do not be surprised if we do. What do you do if you're an investor here? Do you sell into this weakness? I don't think you should be selling long-term investments on a small dip unless you need the money, which is fair. But again, if you don't, none of this really changes. You're pretty much just looking at names that you wanted to buy anyways and buy it on the dip. Because if we hold that 4000 level, guys, that's really it. And then that's the confirmation of the low from October that we talked about, that 200 MA on the weekly. Again, very key moving average is the weekly. Let's talk about Tesla rather quickly. We went ahead and traded that yesterday. We had that break of around 163. We got as low as 160.51. A lot of volume came in on those 150 puts for next week. We caught that for 40%. Probably my favorite trade of the week because it was the one that didn't have much resistance. It just came to us rather quickly. So when I'm looking at Tesla here, let's go to the daily chart, and we're at 163.94. Really, until you get above 171, guys, you shouldn't be touching Tesla to the long side, unless you're trying to scalp it maybe to 170 itself or 171, and you're looking to actually retest that 100. Tesla has more room to go, guys, based on this chart. And again, nothing wrong with the car. Tesla has made me a lot of money trading and investing it. So again, I'm not a Tesla hater. But again, the charts are the charts, guys. Look at this breakdown here. We need to be holding this support. Let's see where we close. If we start catching around 160, let's go ahead and take a look at those 145 puts and 150 puts for next week. Maybe we get a little more volatility ahead of the tech earnings. Tesla would fall as well. Again, it's still on my radar. We'll talk about it on the Friday, on later today's video. I had a question here. Would I add CVS or Teva here? CVS is, again, the CVS pharmacy, pays a dividend yield. Very similar price action to Walgreens, Boots Alliance, WBA. I don't think you can go wrong with either one. If you wanted to buy here on a sense of dollar cost averaging, that's fine. But I would rather wait for confirmation of the upside above the 200 MA on the weekly. That's a very key level. So again, if you're just looking for accumulation, pretty much 66 to 70 looks like a pretty good level. But again, this is a pharma name that doesn't really move. You could see most of the move was just last year due to the tightening of the Fed. We know what happened. But has CVS fundamentally changed their business? Not really. I think this is more of a flow, money flow, maybe not dissipating of dividend. It's just not in demand, but CVS does make money. So again, do I think it's a pretty safe company to bet on, or a Walgreens? Absolutely. Baby boomers, pharmacies, we know the drill. When we expand social services, Medicare, Medicaid, CVS, Walgreens, Walmart are direct beneficiaries of that. So again, if you're thinking that we're going to get a little more, how do I say this, more socialistic policies, CVS is not a bad bet to have that. But if we start moving a little bit towards the marketplace and privatization, that's where CVS gets hurt. That's one way politically to look at it. But again, if you're just looking at levels on CVS, 65 would be pretty much your money target. That's the level we haven't seen since July 2020. If you get to that level, that seems like the best place to buy it. But again, long term, I think you should be okay if you're just accumulating. But trying to time it is going to be difficult on that chart. Teva has just been chopping around forever. This is a name I've used to own, and I sold it, and I lost money on it. Didn't lose a lot, but again, I pretty much got on the Buffett train on that one. Teva, again, if you're looking for a support, you're looking at possibly $7.64, but there is a gap to fill here at $9.23. So if you're just trying to get under it for a trade, this isn't a bad place to do it. At $9.23, you could possibly do a little more conservative and wait for $8.88. That's your 20-day on a daily. So again, that's really just a trade on that sense. In terms of the stock itself, the price action is extremely choppy. So if you really don't care for, I don't know if Teva does pay a dividend or they are a growth company anymore. I really don't research much of it, but you really haven't done much in 3 years on Teva. And again, it's really since the big dip of 72 back in 2015, it hasn't done much since. So it's pretty ugly. Kind of reminds me of a Bitcoin chart when you had certain time frames. Good morning, good morning, good morning, JJ. Thank you for the question, Brano. Let's go and take a look at the volatility index. That's something that I want to keep an eye on. We talked about that gap fill yesterday on Twitter. If you were following our GAR Capital page, I talked about that gap fill, which lined up with 4170 on S&P, and then we boosted and fell in the market. We don't have any more gaps to fill in the VIX, but again, we're starting to get extremely compressed. This is starting to work with the thesis that 4200 resistance has been hit. That 100 weekly moving average has been tagged. You could take a look at the weekly chart. Again, you kind of have that doji, right? That rising hammer, a shooting star, whatever the hell you want to call it. Yeah, we're probably going to get some volatility into earnings. I probably want to be short into it. But the problem is, and the only thing that stands out is that everyone and their mother is short, and that's the problem. But the volatility index is not exactly stating a ton of fear out there either. So again, that gives us an opportunity to play some shorts on the market. Maybe Nvidia, we talked about that gap fill. Tesla, AMD, either one, names that may have gotten ahead of itself in the short term in the first quarter, because we're now in the second quarter. We can go ahead and actually take a look to short. I still have Apple calls. This one kills me. I actually was thinking about it this morning, right before Tesla earnings on Wednesday. We were pretty much right here, right around 167 or so. We're about minus 20%. I kind of kicked myself to say, should we close Apple ahead of the actual Tesla earnings? But again, the risk wasn't really to the downside for Apple. It was just chop. And Tesla really doesn't have much to do with Apple other than they're just both tech companies. So we got the initial reaction overnight from the Tesla earnings. But right around 9, we ended up 10 o'clock in the morning, we ended up in the same time. And this is what hurts, is that the fact that literally on Tuesday when we opened it, or Wednesday we opened it, we soared. And we were right here at 30%. And I did not close. So this is another one of those trades that it was just too quick, just couldn't catch it. Right now on Apple, it just seems that we're just chopping around, guys. That's really it. All we are doing now is retesting this daily trend line, possibly the 20-day moving average. When that breaks, that's when you know we got more downside. But as long as that holds, Apple's still in an uptrend. Again, we still have a gap to fill out 170, 123. So there's a bull case there on Apple. I may have just got bad timing on that, and that's fine. I'll have to eat it. That's the only losing trade I had for the signals group. I also had a Google trade for Masterclass. That didn't work until yesterday. Google started bouncing, but what can you do? Yeah, it was looking real good. Yeah, I mean, that's what happens. But you know, it's not over yet. We still have OPEX today. So we'll see if we get some volatility. Maybe we catch some bids. Maybe we squeeze to 4,200 today. My God, wouldn't that be great for my Apple calls? Salvage something at this point, but here we are. What do you think about IWM to short at 178, 179 area? All right, let's take a look at that. IWM. Let's see it. Ooh. Last time I said to short IWM, I talked about it on Twitter on some unusual options activity. When we had this break, those calls gained about 20%, and that was it. So IWM, you don't got much here. So you're looking to short at 178, 179. I would say 175.02 because that's the 20-day. That's kind of my momentum indicator. But if you're looking on the hourly, yeah, I can see what you're saying. That's the 172 area, sure. But I think you can get better confirmation from the daily, personally, Juan. So I would just wait it out on that one. But what IWM really, guys, has just been chopping. Really hasn't done much since the SVB thing. We're starting to get a little bit of a push here in the markets this morning, getting a little bit of a bounce. NASDAQ is down, interesting. I don't know what's holding that back. Apple's down about, another $1 and $1.50 on that. So we're pretty much just hoping for a Hail Mary on this one. If we break 168.16, it gets interesting, maybe, but we just have to wait it out and see if OPEX kind of gives us a miracle. We'll see what we get. Have a great rest of your morning, guys. I will catch you guys later on today for the aftermarket recap. We'll go over the market week, talk about what worked, what didn't work, what I like, what I don't like, and preview the week moving forward. Have a great rest of your morning. We'll see you then. Cheers.